Okay, so where is our axis of symmetry? That's a vocab. X equals negative b over 2a. We're trying to put all our formulas in one place so that you have one document to study from. Notice that this is actually the h value. Okay? The vertex. How do I find my y coordinate? Well, if I have x, I plug in the x coordinate. Think about what you will do first, second, and third when you graph in standard form. Depending upon your method choice, you can find these things in a different order. Notice that this is the k value. So what's my vertex? My vertex is HK. I just have to do a little bit of work to find it. Okay? Miscellaneous. This is kind of like, what information do I get from this equation? I get the y-intercept. That's the c over here. 0c. Okay, so what is my graph going to look like? I am only going to put the y-axis here. I'm trying not to scale the graph. I don't want to limit you, but the y-axis, we do need to know there is the point here, right? 0c is on that axis. And I'm just going to draw a concave up shape. Just a sketch. And I'm just going to kind of label the parts that I put down here in the formulas. Right, there's my axis of symmetry. And I should know my vertex. I always want to label my vertex HK. And there's one other point we're going to put on this graph, because I need 3 points. Right there. It's that symmetric point. See the symmetry right across that axis there? That is my 3rd point that goes on this graph. And I'm just going to put X, comma, C, because I'm not exactly sure where it's going to reflect to. I just know that it does reflect. Okay, when I graph in standard form, those are the 3 things you need to be able to find. Okay? Guess we could say symmetric point. There's a symmetric point with that y-intercept. Okay? We'll just go down the rows. We'll do vertex form. Axis of symmetry. Vertex. The vertex form is the easiest one to graph because there's not a lot of computations to do. You just sort of have to put the points in the right place. Miscellaneous. How do I put my points in the right place? Well, let's just say integer points. Try to be able to get integer points. And so I'm going to write down my parent points. Then I'm going to say times A to stretch. Right, that's how I would figure out where my points are. Right, graph. Just going to try to draw a nice concave up shape. I'm just going to label the things that I would get from these characteristics. HK, there's my vertex. Right, there's that axis of symmetry. and my points. Okay, how do I show these points? That would just be over 2 dots, up 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm trying to draw 4 dots. I gotta make it count better. There you go. Okay, over 3, up 9. Okay, so 3, 9. I count over 3 and I go up 9. That's how you use the points. I'm just drawing little tick marks there because it's not on a grid. You have to be able to use those values to get your points. Okay, last format. Intercept form. Okay. The axis of symmetry is P plus Q over 2. That's my H coordinate. Okay, maybe I like words instead of formulas. Midpoint of the intercepts. Maybe that's easier for me to remember. Okay, how do I get Y? Plug in the X coordinate. This is going to be your K value. Keep in mind your vertex is HK, axis of symmetry, and the corresponding Y coordinate. Okay. Miscellaneous. The miscellaneous is kind of like the special things that come from this format. Well, if I'm given intercept form, it's really x-intercept form. I have the x-intercepts. P comma 0 and Q comma 0. And a graph. Now I'm going to put the x-axis on here, not the y, just the x. And I'm going to put my 2 x-intercepts. Keep in mind, what would you do first, second, or third when you are graphing these? Okay, well first I plot my x-intercepts. Then I find my center. Then I actually find my parabola. HK. Notice that the only one of these graphs that has more than 3 points is vertex form. Okay, that's the only one that's got more than 3 points on it. Okay, keep your foldable handy. Have your whiteboards and markers out. We're going to do a little review of each of these. I will put in a little standard form review and kind of point out what would be on your quiz, but we're going to mix it up with more than one format. Okay, this is sort of your cheat sheet to all your shortcuts and your formulas in one place. Graph and write. We're going to do both practice. Okay? There is no shortcut to like writing. It's more or less you got to know which format to use, and that's what we're going to talk about. Okay, here we go. Little bit of practice. If you prefer writing in a notebook, guys, that's fine. Just make sure you like call me over to look at your notebook. Okay. We're going to graph first. Y equals x minus 3, quantity squared, minus 5. Just vertex Show me some points. You can do it on a grid or on the other side. Vertex form should have more than 3. How about that? Yes. 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 Guys, if you work fast, have worksheet 10 out so that you can do that while you're waiting. I will try to add up questions. You do them in whatever order and speed you get to them in. I will check them as you get there.
But remember, when we go, if it's not a multiplier, you go up 1, and then out 1, and then up 1 and 2. That's the parent function.
Okay.
But if you have a multiplier every value in front, then it affects the parent function. But then once you go, then you go up 1.
Wait, from the nine.
Yes, from
If I have erasers.
Any of the here, they can use Yep.
Think about wait, it's up 4 over 2. Okay, so real solutions correspond to non-real or imaginary to not. Okay. But the idea behind discriminants being positive, negative, 0, it all kind of matches. Is this graph concave up or down, and which would make sense? So positive. Which one am I looking at? First one. Should be easier. Yeah.
For the second one, in this episode,
Mm-hmm.
when we plug in the x coordinates,
Label the coordinates for me, just so I know.
when we're trying to find the vertex, we'll put in the x coordinates.
Yeah, the x coordinate of the axis of symmetry.
X one of the axis.
Okay, there's a standard form 1, and then how high is it? Uh-huh, yes. That's good, yes, they're both right. Hey, I put up, right, there's 3 of them total, you work on them on your own pace, I'll check them as you get there.
Mr. Breezy, your phone's on. Mr. Breezy.
Hey, if you work too fast, you can start worksheet 9.
Mr. Breezy, your phone. Your phone.
Sure.
Never mind. I'm sorry. Well, I don't know. Usually her phone goes on.
I know, right?
I don't want her to miss her. Just so dumb things. What?
Nobody who needs me.
I know, like, zero
Okay, standard form is what's coming on your quiz today. So think about that third one. Make sure you know how to do it. Check your formulas.
I would,
Yeah.
I would.
So I don't have
You-
to use the
No,
negative.
no. Well, completing the square is a separate skill. If you can complete the square, you don't need standard form.
Okay.
Okay? Now,
So
it's
then I
nice to
can-
know those formulas, but not necessarily have to use them. Which one are you more comfortable with? Okay, then complete the square. That's what I would do.
Wait, if we complete the square, just changing the vertex.
Then you're in vertex form, you use vertex form to graph it. Right? Think of those 3 rows. If you can put it in one of those formats, then you can use that row to graph. 3 I agree with. Yes. It looks too not low enough.
Okay, just don't answer. That's kind of weird.
Negative.
Do you have a crush?
Because it's more negative intercept.
No.
Yes.
Whatever you do on that part, you can do on that part.
Hey, you know what? You guys have like zero social life. It's kind of boring, not gonna lie. There's sometimes some drama in your
Yes.
life.
Oh, no, sorry. Oh, it should be positive 9. There's a negative in front that you missed. It's negative. Yes. Yes.
That's positive is everything. It just said, okay, literally, I can talk to myself all day.
You mean 4? Oh, it doesn't matter as long as you can plug it in. Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna put up another one. Okay, so graphing. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Axis of symmetry. And plug in positive 9. Guys, check that concavity. Should be positive 9 for that vertex there. Okay, I'm going to put up another one that's a little bit trickier. Okay. All right, standard form.
I have a quick question.
Yes. Okay, so we have our 3 formats. If you're here and you put it in this format, use this format to graph it. Yeah. Okay, there's one more standard form up there.
Wait, Mr. Beasley.
Good. Do that in 3.
So, I'm completing the square that I did.
Yes, half the square.
Read about
Yeah,
it.
good.
But for here, when I'm
It's 3. It's the half number. It's the
It's the
square
half
root of
number.
that thing. No. That's 6 times 3 is 8. So try that. These 2 numbers should be tabulated. I got small check.
Mr. Beasley.
When you're finding the vertex. Yeah.
Wait, so here equals y.
This formula, right?
It's yes.
This formula
Yes.
is I actually feel smart.
So you can either complete the square, or you can factor it, or you can use the formulas to standard form. You sort of pick one that you're more comfortable with.
So I think you know this on vertex form, and you kind of up like that because I use non-linear values. Would that be the same?
No, on these you're only showing me 3 points
So you
anyway.
have to rewrite it first as that, and
So
then
no.
you do half of
Well,
that.
what if I choose the vertex form? Would I have to use integers?
Well, I would go back now and plot the y-intercept of 0, 1.
Yeah, and then this plus
Yeah.
two. Negative 1 outside is minus 2.
You can, you certainly, if you can factor very easily, then do it. That's what I'm saying, it's sort of like
Oh, then you find
circular,
the
you
line of
pick a
symmetry.
the y coordinate is split.
Wait, how do you find the line of symmetry? Or the point of symmetry?
Take the y, same y as the y, and then you use to find the x, you
Then
have
this is your new
to
equation.
p plus q.
Plus 2x.
Yes.
Then you divide it 2, and you do the divide it in half and then square it, and that's no
Number 3, yes. Number 2 or 4, yes. Number 4, yes. Okay, keep going.
So I have another question.
Yes.
So what you meant by take the y to take the y.
Because the y-intersection is the easiest point to find in standard form. Why can't I graph it?
Yeah, and then for the point of symmetry.
So then you just reflect it. So this, you've got HK. Can you get a bunch of other points? Sure, but you also have this value.
I don't know what I have.
What if you have like a 1/4 in front? You're like, but 0, 1 is easy to plot.
So then I'd find the point of symmetry. And the point of symmetry is
It's just flipped over that axis of symmetry. Yes. Not the vertex, just the points after. Yes.
And then you go over 1 up 2.
Uh-huh.
Okay. No, I
Okay, did you get the last one?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so not 3. It's okay, so I have the 9 there.
last quarter. Yeah. The overall.
Last one, such a yes.
Did you just forget about this? It's because
Okay. Okay. Number 3 is, okay, I super encourage you to get good at completing the square. Okay? Because it's very, very useful, and in the long run, it has less fractions than the other formats. Okay, so that leaves me with x minus 3 squared minus 8. That's an equation. Okay? And it's right 3 down 8. Now, there's my axis of symmetry. However, I also know the y-intercept is 1. And then I can shoop, shoop. Okay? 6, 1, 0, 1, 3, negative 8. Notice that vertex form is the only one that I ask for extra points. That's standard form. I only need 3 points. Can you count more points? Sure. But you don't necessarily need to. Too far apart. Okay, now the last one is sort of the trickiest. So I'm going to do it 2 ways. Notice how none of these I did negative b over 2a. You can do it, but you need to also be able to convert to the easier formats to graph, which is intercept and vertex. Okay, 2x squared plus 4x plus 0. The c value is 0. I'm going to try completing the square. Okay, so this is half it, square it. This is really a plus 2, so I get a minus 2. And then I complete the square. Okay, left 1 down 2. Whoop, there you go. Left 1 down 2. And then I plot my points. Over 1, up 1, times 2. Over 2, up 4, times 2. There's my axis of symmetry. Okay. So that was the complete the square method. Let's say maybe I thought factoring was pretty easy. Just be careful that you take that 2 out of both of them, and you get x equals 0, x equals negative 2. H is negative 1, k is negative 2. Same thing, just a different set of ways to get there. And not negative 4, should be negative 2. Just check your arithmetic.
Wait, so what? When you take out the greatest common factor.
Yeah, I did this. 0 and negative 2.
Wait, no, starting from standard form and completing the square.
Well, it's a 0 out here.
Yes.
So I added 1, and then I minus 2.
But you took out the full x and the 2x squared. So you took out 2 x's from each.
No, I just, for complete the square, I just took out a 2.
So you took out the greatest common factor.
Numerical. No, I forced the A to come in front. Yeah, we're going to do like 2 examples. Like standard form? Yes. I don't think so. That is the next set of questions. All right, here we go. That was your graph review. Now we're going to write equations. Okay, keep your foldable handy. I'm not going to tell you which format to use. That is kind of the trick. You have to pick the right one. Write an equation. I'm not going to tell you which one. I'm only going to give you a graph. You write the equation of the graph. Okay. Parabolas aren't beautiful, but you can see them. Okay. There is my parabola. Write the equation of that parabola. Behind door number 1, you have vertex form. Door number 2, intercept form. Door number 3, standard form. Worst choice. Only use standard form if you absolutely cannot use the other 2. What information do you have in the problem?
Vertex.
Okay. Which format should you use
Vertex form.
based on the information given to you?
Vertex form.
Vertex form. It does not matter what I ask for. You write it in the format that fits your information. Okay? If I give you the vertex, think of this. AHK, APQ, ABC. Which one do you have the most information given to you? HK. That only leaves you A.
Does anyone have a marker?
Here, you can try this one. Here, pass that one back. I'll just stretch it. Okay. You gotta find AHK, APQ, or ABC. It's not. And it's concave down. It's Pico. Oh, you forgot the square. Okay. It's concave down. Yes. How do you find a missing coefficient? You plug in x and y. But because there's only one unknown, I only have to plug in 1 point. Is x? Mm-hmm. Keep going. No, refine your a.
Oh wait, no. And then you have to find A. And then to find A. Define A. Wait, define A and put in y.
Yeah, you can plug in any.
Squared.
But
Squared.
I plug in y.
Squared. Go back and recheck your concave down. Concave down. Okay, just check your sign. Because that's what you
So probably pay attention to that.
Yeah, but that's how.
Yes.
Holy stop.
Check your arithmetic. Just when you divide, don't be careful not to flip those numbers. Can you wait till 55?
I think I had
Maybe.
Yeah.
You can come tomorrow.
Okay, yeah, that makes, because
Okay.
we just did the.
Yeah, go to your.
A. Wait, we're
Yeah, they just got back. Okay, -3/2 is correct.
Yo, actually?
-3/2 is correct.
Yo, let's get it.
That's what we're gonna do. Okay, here we go. Y equals A, x minus h squared plus k. I know h and k. Don't forget your square, guys. If you don't put a square there, it's not a parabola, it's a line. How do you find a missing coefficient? You plug in a point. I only have one missing coefficient, means I only have to plug in 1 point. Okay, -2, 0. Okay, subtract over. +4. equals A.
That was nice.
There's my equation.
Yo, I got that.
Okay, I'm going to write confusing directions on purpose.
On purpose.
Write in standard form.
No, I know what she wants to do. Okay, that's easy. No, she wants us to use interval form, right, to solve it, but then factor to make it into standard.
No, you don't. Okay, the directions are confusing on purpose because it says write in standard form. You're like, oh, systems. Okay, door 1, door 2, or door 3. What information do you have?
The x-intercepts.
You have the x-intercepts. Regardless of what I just said, you need to write the equation with the information that's given to you and then convert it to standard form after you get. I already have P and Q, guys. If you already have P and Q, you only have A left to find. That is much easier than trying to find A, B, and C, none of which you have. Okay? You got to start with the most amount of information given to you. So you are going to start here. And then later you will FOIL everything out to get your final answer. Okay, try it. We're going to switch over to notes in about 7 minutes. We have 2 examples to do. Okay? How do you find the missing coefficients? Take another point. 19. So you put 4 here, 2 here.
Chill, it's just 4.
Find your A first. Find your A first before you start to expand. Your A value is a fraction, guys. So you can do it.
But there is no break.
So you plug in the 22, 4.
That's not the base.
Well, then you can say it's not easy.
That's what I was plugging. Why was she yelling at me?
Even if you want to do it in your head, write down the equation and then just write down what A is. Okay. A is a fraction. It's not 0.
Is A this?
Oh,
Yes, it is. Okay, put it back
Those two
in.
are intercept, right?
And then multiply 2 at a time. Okay, yes, except that when you do this, you still got this. Now you have one more distribution. Should be over 50.
Those are your x-intercepts. And remember x-intercepts are that's those two are intercepts. So you have to put the
Plus 3 minus 5. 2, 4, 6.
Wait, who got A correct?
Oh, your signs are backwards. There you go. Okay.
good point. The third point.
Take your 2 and your 4 and plug them in for X and Y. You did the same thing with the last time. But that was actually backwards. But you see how you've already used those 2 points? You have to use something different. Okay, you're doing it the hard way. It'll still work. Okay. If I give you okay. Notice how you only have one unknown left to solve for. That means you only have to plug in 1 point. Okay, this is 3 unknowns. The other formats, there's even 1 unknown because you're given PQ or you're given HK. Much easier. Yes. Check your distribution. It should be 15. Wait. Yes, not distribute everything. Yes. Check your distribution. Okay, so when you FOIL, you still have this.
Yeah, right.
7, but that's not right. This is right.
Alright. So this is describing 2 points, right?
That's good.
What?
Yes. Yes. Okay, so no, you're not wrong, except that when you do this distribution, you still have it in grouping symbols. You still have to distribute your A. Finally, yes, okay. So now finish distributing. All right, Josh.
Okay, let's do one by
Okay, but you can use. Okay, so start by plugging in the P and the Q to that format. We're gonna do the multiplication. Not quite. Not quite. Oh, yes, 12 over 3 is 4. That is the right A value.
I got it right.
The A value is right. All right, here we go. Here it is. A x plus 3
Why are you always so defensive?
x minus 5. The reason I start in intercept form is because I get to plug in P and Q with no extra work. Now I have to find my A. That means plug in the other point. Okay, so I'm plugging in x equals 2 and y equals 4. So negative 4 over 15 equals A. But the question, right, now I've got my equation, and you're like, oh, I want to put a box around this. But before you put a box on your answers, write in standard form. Oh, that's not standard form. I better multiply it out. Okay, so I'm going to FOIL first. Now don't drop the parentheses. All you did is you multiplied 2 of the 3 things. Now you have to do that last distribution. Negative, negative is positive. Negative, negative is positive, but 15 over 15 is 1. Equation. Y, I said an equation. Make sure you give me an equation, not an expression. An expression has no equals. An equation has an equals. Okay. 225. I just FOILed it out. Yep.
Could you have done it from a different form?
Sure, just this I think is the fastest form. I'm not going to say that for sure, but that was the most straightforward because of where you had the given information. You can do any format. Well, not vertex because you don't have the vertex. But you can still set up your system of 3 variables. You can. It just sometimes might combine how you expect. Yeah.
So what if the best equation to use to find it, to put it in standard form was vertex form? How do you translate vertex form into standard?
You would write this factor out twice and just pick 2 things at a time and multiply. Then distribute, then add 4. Okay, open up your notebook. I want to do our 2 notes examples and get the in. And if we have any more time, then we'll come back and we'll do some more practice. Okay, you can do it. All right, 4.5, graph, and
Hey, that's a game sound.
write
I'm gonna report you. Wait, ready? I can report.
equations of circles. We're going to do circles today.